Today's podcast with our guest, Zac Klassen, is brought to you by Audible. Head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled and get your free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. They've got over 180,000 different titles for you to choose from. For your iPhone, Android, Kindle, MP3 player, fucking whatever you listen to. I think they're on AM radio. That's not true. Let's get to the podcast. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Jumbled, your favorite podcast about nothing. I'm Zach. And don't worry, the absence of Jonny is not because he's not in this episode. We just had a little bit of technical difficulties with the beginning of the episode. Unfortunately, our guest, Zac Klassen, had a bit of a technical difficulty himself, was unable to capture the first 17 and a half minutes or so of the episode, so it's going to be a bit of an abrupt jump into the podcast, but I just wanted to give you guys a bit of backstory as to what we were talking about, and introduce Zac a little bit, since he won't be able to do that himself now. So basically, you guys heard him last week when Zac let us use the audio from his very own podcast, Up and Coming with Zac Klassen. That's when Jonny was on the episode. If you guys haven't listened to that yet, it would be a great time to do that now. Go ahead and pause where you are here. Come back after you've listened to last week's episode. But if you've already listened, then good for you. You are ready to go. We were really excited to get Zac in. He is he's an actor. He's a personal trainer. He's an entrepreneur. He's a social media influencer. He's done so many different things. So it's really cool to get a perspective of where his process comes from for acting and all those things. So we were super pumped. Unfortunately, like I said, he couldn't introduce himself. So we talked a little bit about where he started, and that was doing little videos on Instagram and with his buddy who is now his roommate, and where he started and where it all began, how it progressed to where it is. We're going to jump right in where he plugs his podcast, and then it'll be about 50 minutes or so for the rest of the episode. So it's still not it's not a full hour, unfortunately, but luckily we went long on the recording, so it's gonna be pretty close. We hope you guys enjoy. It's gonna be a pretty quick jump into the podcast, so let's just get to it.
Tell me about Up and Coming. How you got into it. Did you plan, or did you just kind of jump into it, and how it's evolved? You're on like episode 70 now.
No, I'm on episode 65, and to be honest with you, I've had a little bit of a delay, just because it's pilot season right now, so there's like a lot of auditions happening and stuff, and I'm training with this acting coach now, and I'm just kind of like more just getting kind of obsessed, I guess, with that world. So I'm not really, I don't know, I just haven't had a time to find a guest to have on my show. Also too, man, I'm kind of slowly structuring my show to be more tailored towards people in the film industry and entertainment industry now. Just because I feel like I just have to have people that are really appealing to me. I guess, you know what I mean? Like, you can't fake a conversation with someone. You really can't. Right. You can really tell when the host is like not really interested at all. And I think that's why Joe Rogan is so successful, because his guests that he has on his show, they're people that he really cares about.
That's true.
You know what
he
I mean?
does a lot of research onto them too before they, like, he knows that guest.
Yeah,
he
for
reads
sure.
the book pretty thoroughly. So
Right.
I think that's some of the pieces to a podcast that a lot of people don't consider. I know we kind of talked about it when I was on Up and Coming, but Zach and I really kind of fly by the seat of our pants a lot of the times, but there's even still effort going into finding guests, coordinating with guests. And I mean, we both write down pieces to talk about and jot some notes down. But I imagine if you're doing a 3-hour conversation with a neurologist that you're gonna invest a lot more time, like Joe Rogan would, to know what you're getting into, right?
Right.
Totally, man. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you just have like I think it's just about being just prepared, in general, and like you said, being excited, because then you can relate, and then like with Jumbled, we just sort of go off onto several different tangents, and if you can relate to somebody, it's easier to
just naturally
follow somebody else follow somebody into a tangent like that.
Totally, man. Yeah, for sure.
So where do you want to see the podcast go? You're doing some pretty awesome things with video. I thought that was an awesome piece that it wasn't one just video of a Skype screen of 3 guys chatting like we have right now, but actually having a camera guy, or the next level I would say would be having a stationary camera, and it's just kind of facing 2 guys talking, and then now having like a full camera guy that's taking different angles and tracking the conversation and switching, and the video editing, and that is just incredibly tedious, but I love what you're doing with that. So what do you think is the next step for Up and Coming, knowing that your focus is a little bit split right now with some other priorities?
Yeah, I think honestly, man, I think just like I think I was talking about I just had a podcast, by the way. I just finished one like that. 20 minutes ago.
Back to back.
30 minutes ago. Yeah, and the guy that I had on, he was an actor and stuff, and I was doing the episode, and I was like, man, I don't know, can I make a show just about like the film industry and entertainment industry? Like, is that going to be kind of boring? You know what I mean? Is that going to be, I don't know. I'm not too sure. Like I said, man, you're always kind of learning, and you're just kind of seeing how it goes and seeing where it takes you, right? My acting episodes get the most downloads, and it's really easy to like target. It's really easy to target people that are really into a certain thing. Like, I'd rather have 2,000 solid listeners than like 20,000 random listeners on certain episodes, right? You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather have just a consistent amount of people. And in terms of the camera guy, I was talking to him about this today. I think what I'm going to start doing, man, is just having a camera film me and the guest, and only make clips out of video.
Oh yeah.
So not uploading the full episode anymore. Because here's the thing, man, is if I start uploading a video every single day to YouTube, every single week to YouTube, I mean, man, the fan base that I'm going to collect and grow, they're going to know me as just a talk show host. They're just going to know me as a host of a podcast. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but man, the only reason I've started any of this stuff is for acting.
Which is a good segue into a question I had for you when you were talking about moving to Vancouver and getting exposure and getting auditions, and that it's really tough in your, the first 5-10 years, and saying you need experience. So what are some of the things that you've done? Obviously, working and creating your own content and filming. Some of my other friends or other podcasts I listen to that talk about wanting to break into the industry is that you just have to do it yourself, because if you sit there waiting for that role, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, like, what I'm doing with the podcast, I mean, on paper, it really has nothing to do with acting. Like, I'm not creating a role or anything, right? Like, I'm actually kind of doing something completely different than what it is that I'm actually doing. But honestly, man, I think what makes a great actor, a huge part of it is someone that can network, and someone that can is very, you're essentially, man, as a good actor, you're kind of like the popular kid at the party, I think, right? Like, people want to work with you. Like, oh man, I got this great script for blah, blah, blah. I got this, I'm writing this movie thinking about this person. And, I don't think I can make anything with my camera and the money that I have right now that will showcase me in a certain way that people will be like, oh wow, I really want to work with that guy. He's making dope shit. Because I have no desire to be a director. Like, I have no desire to be a director. Right? I just like performing, and I like just fucking having fun with it, right? So I think throughout the podcast, hopefully they can listen to it and be like, wow, he's really motivating, or he's really whatever it is. And I just sat across from him for an hour. Let's see his stuff. Hey Zach, you got any demo stuff? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm hoping for.
Absolutely. That's a strategic way to do it. And I think too, like you talked about learning when you get a podcast how to hold a conversation, carry a conversation, have an engaging conversation. And when I was over, you kind of joked about having a book of, oh, here are my podcast questions. But that's, I think, a critical piece for any networking, and to be that life of the party, right? And I think you will use The Rock, for example. The Rock walks into a room, he's in the room.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The part of that is, you could say, oh, he's super famous, but he has a presence, he has an energy, a persona that people are attracted to and want to provide opportunities for him, or want the opportunity to work with him, right? So that's essentially what you have to create there.
100%. Yeah. So again, man, the whole the whole thing with podcasting, it's such a great networking tool. I think every company, every person should have it. It's really just how you market it, right? Like you can have it as a talk show host. You can use it to communicate with people. Mm-hmm. There's so many routes that you can take with it.
Yeah. So sticking with the acting buzz, what is a movie and role that would be your dream movie / role?
Oh man.
Brad Pitt, Troy.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I mean, I think every guy would want to play that, right? But no, man, I think I don't know. I don't know if I want to. Okay, here's the thing. What I'm going out for right now is I'm going out for a lot of Army guy, right? Army guy 1, high school jock guy and stuff. And like that stuff's really just, it doesn't, I don't know. For me personally, it's like, really, I'm going to spend like money on all these acting classes to do, like I can do this stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I want to play more, a big actor in my life is definitely Tom Hardy. I think he's great, right? Because he could have been typecasted as that too, right? He could have been, that Army guy and all that kind of stuff. But he's definitely challenging himself as an actor. I think it's awesome.
What's your favorite Tom Hardy movie?
Favorite Tom Hardy movie is, you ever seen Warrior?
Yes, that's a great movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie, man.
That was probably the first good MMA movie.
Yeah, right.
There were a lot of
it was a good
cheesy ones, but that one was cheesy still, but pretty good. When one of my favorite scenes when he goes back to that boxing gym for the first time, and that Mad Dog guy is training, and he like knocks out his sparring partner, and Tom Hardy's like, "Yo, I'll fight you." And he just looks, he's like in garbage ass sweats, and this guy's like, "I'll beat the piss out of you," or whatever, and he just lays him out. I was like, yeah,
just goes super hard on him. Yeah, dude, it was a good movie.
Great. What would be some other? So you want to do obviously more challenging roles.
Yeah, I mean, I think like, I don't know, man. It kind of just ranges. Like, I think like obviously like Troy and all those kind of movies are fucking sweet. Don't get me wrong. Or like, what's that one with Russell Crowe?
Gladiator.
The Gladiator. Yeah, the Gladiator movie. All the way to Eternal Sunshine with Jim Carrey. I don't think for me, it's not really about what kind of movies do I want to do. I just want to be a part of like dude, Christopher Nolan, any movie he makes, I would love to be a part of that. Oh, that's obvious, right? Like he doesn't put out anything that's bad. You know what I mean? Like I would choose a great movie. I would rather play a shitty character that I don't like in a great movie than play a fucking awesome character that I'm just like, woohoo, this is so much fun in a decent movie. Always, every time.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot, I mean, and I'm not the person to be talking about this, but it seems like a lot of acting is just, in a way, it's self-serving too, where you're trying to fill your own cup with what you feel
100%.
Led to do. So it's, you mentioned Jim Carrey in Eternal Sunshine, Spotless Mind. So when everybody thinks of Jim Carrey, what's the first thing you think of? Ace Ventura or something, like a goofy Jim Carrey movie. But he has really stretched himself out to do these roles that you wouldn't expect of Jim Carrey. And sometimes it hasn't paid off. Like I'm trying to recall what it was like, this post-apocalyptic movie recently. And he was like a meth head, but he was only in it for like, I don't know, 15 minutes or something like that. Like he had a really small part in it, but it's like
Badlands or something, right?
Something like that. I forget exactly what it's called, but it's just another example of like willing to take that next step to see if it's something that could pay off for you. Just having the courage to do that.
I just checked out Christopher Nolan's IMDb. I wasn't trying to be a dickhead on my phone. And he did one of my favorite movies, Memento.
Memento, right?
I love that
That's a
movie.
fucking unreal movie. Yeah, dude, that's a great movie.
I watched that in my cinema studies class in university and was just blown away by it.
Dude, Memento is really good. Prestige, honestly, man, it's really hard to find. Like, there's no way to find a bad movie. Like, it's for Christopher Nolan, and that's what's really cool, man, about this industry is like, I don't know, it's really, when you're good at it, it shows how good you are. Like, fighting, like, you can be the best fighter, but you got hit with that, that one punch, and that's it, man. You could change the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Whereas acting, it's kind of difficult, right? Like when you're good, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Same with directing. Like when you're really a good director, I mean, they're obviously there's going to be some things that, you're not going to agree with, and it is all preference. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, most people like a Christopher Nolan movie over blah, blah, blah.
That's fair. So if you weren't acting, doing your thing right now, and you had to go to plan B, which was, what 99% of the world does, and go into a regular old job, what would your regular, I'll use air quotes, profession be if you had to?
And not that there's anything wrong with that, by the way.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but if I had to plan B, man, I was just talking about this with the other guest too, and I'm going to say what he kind of told me because it is so true, man. There's no plan B really, right? It's just because acting is something that you can really attempt your whole life, which is kind of cool, right? It's all about meeting people and building your own team, and I'm just so addicted to that. And dude, I'm telling you, man, like it's just so cool. Like it really is. Like I think everyone should do some kind of thing that is so far out there in the world because the people that you meet are fucking real. Like they're real people. I'm not talking about the people that are just want to be famous because they want to be actors. I'm talking about the real people, like people that are just they're working as a server. They're 31 years old. You know what I mean? All their friends are getting married now, and they're just still grinding it out. Those fucking people. Those people are the realest people you'll ever meet, man. And I just want to be surrounded by those people forever. So I don't know. Like plan B for me is plan B, which by the way is personal training, to answer your question. Like I personal train right now. That's what I do pretty much, not full time, but like, I do social media stuff and I do personal training. Personal training for me, why I like it is because I see someone that's unmotivated and I get to motivate them and kick them into gear and hopefully show them the light. And what that does to me is it does give me a form of energy or a form of motivation to, again, keep going out there and keep hustling. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. My plan B will always, I think, be there because even if I do make it in this industry, I want to have a hand still somewhere in the fitness industry because of what it's done for me personally.
Mm-hmm. What actor do you think you look most alike?
Which one do I look alike?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I said Ryan Reynolds when we were hanging out a couple weeks ago.
I'll take it. I think I don't know. I don't know, man. That's a weird question. I can't answer that because if I say someone, because there's obviously the guys in Hollywood that are studs, and there's categories, and
it's a shitty. Don't worry about it. Next question.
I like how you just jumped off it.
Yeah, fuck it. Moving on. Would you do a Hold
on a second.
Movie?
Let me ask you though. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
What actor do you think you look like in Hollywood?
I don't see it, but Allie says I look like Bradley Cooper, and when I had
Bradley Cooper,
when I had longer hair, I don't know. She was dedicated.
But do you see how you said that?
Yeah.
You're like, she thinks I look like Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper.
Yeah. I'm slightly above average looking. I'll own that.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. No. I think you do, man. I think you really do. Yeah. You should grow the hair back out too.
Well, I think when the hair was longer, it definitely helps. And I like Bradley Cooper, so I'll accept.
He's
that.
He's a fucking beauty, man. He was, you know what, man? Bradley Cooper was one of the big reasons I moved to Vancouver at the age I did. He was enrolled in school. I wish people understood like how much these up and coming stories of these guests really reflect on a lot of people. Like when I heard Bradley Cooper's up and coming story and how he was like 25 years old and enrolled in university, I was like, man, nice. I'm only 22 going to fucking Vancouver to do this. Like, I feel like I'm ahead of Bradley Cooper. You know what I mean? Like, and that you feel so good about that kind of stuff, right? I know it's age is not even really a thing at the end of the day, but like, it just kind of felt really, cool to know that. Anyways, sorry, what were you saying?
Well, before we go there, I think it's the cool point is like you said that there's no time limit on acting, right? And your roles might change as you get older, or your interests might change, but you never know when it's just going to be that thing that's going to happen, right? Like you could be one commercial away from impressing the right person, right? And I think that comes back to that networking piece that you're focused on. It's exactly it, right? It's who you know.
It is, man. It really is who you know. And again, that's why I started the show, right? I want to be able to know everyone in this industry. So
what a sneaky way to hang out with someone for an hour, right?
I know, right? Hey, Chris, you know, this is the game. The game plan is to like eventually get on like some kind of like show and, you know, involve the brand. And through evolving the brand, you kind of evolve the guests. Not that there's anything wrong with my guests I have in my show now, but you slowly start to get bigger and bigger guests. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, Christopher Nolan, you know, I have this big acting podcast. It's going to help promote your movie. You should come on. And then he goes, so wait, you're an actor? I'm like, yeah, I'm an actor. Yeah.
Dabble.
Yeah, dabble, you know.
That's awesome. So knowing your love for Christopher Nolan, would you do a Marvel movie? And I asked this, and people might think it's a weird question, but because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I listen to some that have some actors on it, and they talk about that in the industry that can almost be seen as a curse in disguise. Like you get typecasted really easily, and I know
Sellout.
Oh God, what's his name? It's gonna drive. Chris Hemsworth has talked about it with Thor, like being typecasted as the Thor, like kind of good-looking dumb guy.
Right.
And you know, some people say it's not challenging, but it's easy money. And would you do a Marvel movie?
Oh yeah, man, for sure. Definitely. I mean, look, I'm gonna tell you something right now. Christopher Nolan's fucking guy is Tom Hardy, and Tom Hardy just did Venom. So
that's a good point. Venom was I loved Venom.
I think it's how you do it, right? I think there is a strategic way of doing things. Like, look, Chris Hemsworth is Thor, right? Obviously, and you know it's gonna be very challenging for him to get out of that.
But man, just because the magnitude of that movie, not because of his abilities, you know, it's just that it's so huge.
Right, exactly. And once the Marvel thing wears away and he's in his late 40s and 50s, you know, he's gonna rebrand himself as something else. Trust me, man. Mm-hmm. Right. Look, Ryan Reynolds was Green Lantern, which was a pretty big movie at the time, flopped, right? Yeah. And now he's Deadpool, and no one thinks of him. Do you think of him as Green Lantern when you see him? I don't. No. I see him as Deadpool.
No, I've tried to forget that ever since I saw it.
Yeah, it was a bad one.
I wanted to like it because I really liked Ryan Reynolds.
I'm a forever fan of Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
he's fucking dope. He's from here too, which is really cool.
Yep. But I also hate DC Comics. So on the other hand, I was like, fuck you, Green Lantern.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's just me though, you know.
Yeah.
So if you
he mentioned it too at the end of the movie, right?
Yeah,
Deadpool.
Yeah.
Like he mentions it, right? Which is kind of cool.
He owns it. And you know what?
It.
I think I respect that even more as someone who can, you know, take that and just own it and joke about it and be like, yeah, it sucked. I tried something. And
right.
Mm-hmm. And in his defense, at that time, superhero movies were still really, you know, finding their legs and what viewers were looking for. And if you watch that movie in the time that it came out, it was still bad, but it wasn't that far off from a lot of the other movies that were like, what was the Elektra was bad, and Daredevil, like Ben Affleck does Daredevil. Those were pretty bad movies.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
At the time, you know, it's all we had. People didn't know. Like the formula now has changed so much. And I think it is evolving with, you know, Deadpool really pushed the boundaries of what a Marvel movie can be and what, in my opinion, should be. That was my biggest complaint about Venom, was that it was PG-13.
Yeah, you know, Venom didn't hit, man, which is really sad because I'm such a Tom Hardy fan. But yeah, to be honest with you, I'm just not really big into superhero films, so I'm like the worst person to ask, like what works and what doesn't work. You know, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I appreciate a good one, and Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy is fucking amazing. But besides that, it is. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't really watch a lot of these kind of things. You know,
it's a lot of the same.
It's a lot of the same thing, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what would be if we looked at, you know, your online movie count, Netflix or whatever, what would be the top 3 movies we would see in there?
Definitely you would probably see fuck. What did I just watch recently? I'm going to go with what I just watched recently. The Prestige is on there. Prestige. I don't know why. I'm a big sucker for Avatar. I don't think Avatar is on Netflix though, but
no. Well, anywhere, you know.
Okay, anywhere. Yeah, you would definitely see Inception. You would definitely see Shutter Island. You would see, you would see Gladiator. You would see, Legends. You ever seen Legends? With Tom Hardy plays those twin guys, those twin brothers.
Oh, actually, I think I have seen that. The Tom Hardy movie that really sold me on Tom Hardy. It was on Netflix for a while. It's going to drive me crazy. It was kind of a Western, not really a Western. It was like around Prohibition in America.
Oh man, Lawless, yeah, dude, Lawless, for sure. That's such a good movie. Yes.
Oh, he was so good in that movie. Zach,
so
if you haven't
good in that
seen
movie,
it,
man.
You need to watch it.
Honestly, man, like I'm kind of really into just films that are like nitty gritty, right? Like just really just so intense, you know. That just gets me going, man. It just really gets me going. And don't get me wrong, I love a good Jim Carrey movie, right? I love it, man, because it's if you watch all my sketches, it's a textbook page from Jim Carrey. Like it is, man. I would just watch a Jim Carrey movie and be like, okay, so move my jaw more. You know what I mean? Okay, cool. Yeah. Right? You know what I mean?
Oh, what an interesting little detail that you picked. Like those are the things that you look at when you're studying.
Totally, man. Yeah, he's big into the jaw, right? He goes, hey, you know what I mean? Like he kind of accentuates his jaw really out there, and it's hilarious.
I just had this weird moment where I'd never once considered that until you said it, and then I just thought about all of his characters, and it was like, holy fuck, that is like, that's
dude, look at the mask, right? That's just his thing.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And totally, man. Well, honestly, that's kind of like a big thing. Like, for example, I had, you guys know what HQ trivia is?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. It's more so in the States. I have an audition for it tomorrow. Host, actually.
What?
I'm hosting.
That's so cool.
It's actually a callback, which is pretty cool.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah. But this is the funny thing. So, which is kind of funny because I don't understand how they expect you to audition or whatever, but they send you the script, right? So it's like, hey players, how's it going? Welcome to, HQ Trivia. My name's whatever, blah, blah, right? And they send you the script, and it's word by word on the script. So it's like, for example, it'll be like, all right, dealers, shuffle up and deal. Let's see those hands. Okay, players, take a look. We're seeing the flop, right? Like it's literally in there. I don't know what a flop is. I don't know what a turn is. I don't know what river is. I don't know poker at all. I don't even know a straight. I don't know anything, okay? So I'm just pretending like I'm seeing the game, and I'm just in my head how it would go. And when, for example, the last line of it is this. River it does. Ice ships this one with 3 5s for a 2 pair. Congratulations. I don't know what that means. I thought River was the character's name. So I get a call back from this thing, right? And it's tomorrow, and it says you need to, one thing that you are going to be doing this audition, because it's in person now. It's not a self-tape, it's in person. And one thing that you are doing in this audition is you are watching a game for 10 minutes, and you have to have this energy and calling out the plays. days.
Let's take a hot second to stop and talk about our sponsor for today's podcast. You guys know them. You guys love them. It's Audible. Head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled and get your free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. We've talked about them over and over again. If you guys have not yet taken advantage of the opportunity that is in front of you right now, it's a golden opportunity. Please do. You get a free book. A free audiobook. I don't know how else to explain it. You sign up for the trial, you get the free audiobook, and then anytime within the 30 days, you can cancel and you'll get to keep your audiobook. It's a free audiobook, guys. You'll get to keep it, you'll get to listen to it over and over again, and you know what? That sounds like a win-win situation to me. The audiobook that I'm going to recommend for this month is Girl Logic by Iliza Shlesinger. If you guys have not heard about Iliza Shlesinger, it's a mouthful of a name. She is a comedian. Super, super funny. This book, this audiobook just talks about how women's minds, how they work, and how sometimes women can obsess over details that men wouldn't even notice. She talks about a characteristically female way of thinking that seems to be contradictory and circuitous at the same time, but is actually complicated and highly evolved. I think we can all agree that when you think about male versus female minds, if you had to pick the brain that is more highly evolved, you're going with the woman. I'm just thinking personally, I can only do one thing at a time. My wife does 14 different things while I'm trying to figure out the one thing that I'm doing. So anyway, that's the audiobook that I'm going to recommend this month. But hey, if you guys don't want to listen to Girl Logic by Iliza Shlesinger, they have over 180,000 different audiobooks that you can choose from. And it's not just comedy. They have audiobooks on everything. They even have Audible originals now that you can check out. So there's going to be something that you can find and dig into and really get something out of. And you should really go take a look at them. They got a lot to offer. And now that I have plugged that, I will just tell you one last time, head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled. Let's get back to the podcast.
Oh, fuck. That's
hard. Yeah, dude. So I spent the entire day, because I don't know poker at all. I have no idea about any of this stuff. So I spent the whole day today watching, just trying to remember stuff. Okay, like a straight is this. Okay, yeah. 2 pair, 3 pair of cards, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
3 of a kind.
You know what I mean? Like trying to 3 of a kind. Right there you go. Yeah. See, this audition's not gonna go too well.
You're gonna do great, Zach.
Yeah, but hopefully
Poker
I
night
can
at
sell
Zach's
them on.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, who wants to swindle Zach for some money?
You know what's so funny, man, is this the audition asked the beginning of it, asked for an introduction. And if you have any actor listeners, they're going to be able to relate to this. It asks if you have any experience playing poker or anything. And you always lie, right? You always go, yeah, I'm good. I played poker for years. So I don't know how this is going to play over, man, but whatever. Fuck it. It's the name of the
Luckily
game.
for you, there's a lot of free sites you can play online. You can just cram in, a couple thousand.
Oh yeah, I
hands
was
tonight.
playing today, man. Yeah, I was playing earlier today, actually.
That's good.
Actually, one person recommended a movie that I watched to really learn, and it was. I'm just gonna try getting it here.
A poker movie.
Yeah, it was Rounders.
Rounders. I have not seen that one, but there was one recently that was about an American Olympian. She was a downhill skier. And Molly's Game.
Oh yeah, man, such a good movie. Yeah,
that's a great movie.
Yeah, that's a good movie for sure.
And a good book, apparently.
Yeah. So like I said, man, this is the name of the game. This is the industry I'm in. I gotta somehow figure it out. I guess I don't know.
Just be glad that fake it isn't something physical. Like, yo, we need this surfer. So here's some 6-foot waves. You could just surf that out. You're like, yeah, man. got this.
I got this, dude. I got you. Yeah, totally.
Just see Zac in the background.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
What's one of the weirdest things that you've had to do in or hardest, weird or hard, in an audition? So, obviously I could imagine having to call a poker game as someone I've spent quite a bit of time playing poker. I played it a lot on my phone. And to sit there in front of people and call a poker game with any kind of energy is like, that's hard for someone who loves poker. And I wouldn't even say I love poker, but what else? Like, what are the weird or unique asks have you had in the audition room?
I've had a few weird auditions, man, for sure. I think one of the weirdest ones I've ever had was I had to make out with this girl. And I mean, that's not weird, whatever. But she didn't know I had to make it. This is the weird thing, is that she didn't know I had to make out with her. That was what was weird. So I went that's weird. Okay. And action. Okay. And like, I don't know. I assumed she knew that I was, I thought she knew like that, whatever. And so I go in to kiss her and she moved back. She's like, what are you doing? And then not the director, but the casting director was like, cut. What's the deal? She's like, I don't have to kiss him, do I? She's like, yeah, I mean, it's going to look better if you do. And then she was just so weird about it that made me feel weird about it.
It gets in your head, yeah.
Yeah, I got in my head and I was like, I don't know, man. It kind of ruined the whole audition.
Was there a black couch in the background?
Yes. Yeah, the audition was for Bang Bros. I didn't tell you.
You know what, Zac? Now that you say that, I do think I recognize you from something.
We're talking about being a porn actor, right?
Okay,
that's what I'm talking about here. Yeah.
Give them some credit. They're actors too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing.
A lot of faking too, from what I hear.
Yeah. I love watching overly complex porn and then just turning it off when it gets to the sex. Like, I just want to know where this storyline goes. Like, what is in the box?
Yeah, totally. Hey man, I give all credit to anyone that can get in a camera and act naturally. You know what I mean? It's a tough thing to do for sure.
All right, what other interesting requests in the audition room?
What else did I have happen to me? I know there's some weird things like for example, what's one that was just so weird? Man, I've had so many of these auditions.
What is it? While you think of that one, I'm glad you brought up the kiss, because I was at a play. I went to a play with Ali on Saturday, and it was kind of a local theater company that put it on, and the main character was like a middle-aged man. I don't know. I would say he's probably late 40s, early 50s. And the leading woman was probably in her 30s, early 30s, and there was kind of like a love interest there, and they had to kiss a few times on, I would say, stage, but it was really small. We were actually sitting on the same floor that they were acting on. It was kind of like a black box thing. It was really good, but I had this moment where I was like, this kiss just feels weird, and maybe it was because the characters to me didn't like. The physical characters didn't seem like a match, and the kiss was like kind of just held it, so it was like weirdly touching lips but not moving, which is I just assumed was an acting kiss. I don't know, like how heavy into these kisses do you go to sell that part?
Oh, you got to go all the way, man. You got to for every single thing, man. For every single thing. The camera can tell when you're lying right away. Like, it just knows. Like, it just can pick it up so quickly. You have to be so committed. Like, there's just no way around it. You know what I mean? And especially on stage, like, if you're going to kiss someone, you got to just commit it, man. You got to commit all the way. You know, I don't know. That's kind of like the biggest thing that I've learned for everything in life, really. Just go all in, man. Just go for it. Like, you got to go all in, or there's someone else there's someone out there that is going to.
So when you say all the way, do you mean like full tongue or like lips overlapping kiss? Like I need to know what the
I'm talking about, full on tongue. Even bite her lip every once in a while. Yeah, exactly.
So I know you have a girlfriend now that's pretty serious, but prior to, I guess truthfully, I don't know how long you guys have been together, so this question might not be relevant. How many girls did you have to kiss in like an act that were like, yo, you want to grab coffee after?
Oh man. I don't know, not so much there. But like in acting class, you get really close with a lot of people because you're very emotional and you're seeing a lot of different characteristics in a person. And it happens the most there for sure, where it's like, hey, you want to grab a beer after? Like, I don't know, man. I'm telling you, if you're single and you ever want to meet a girl, just go in an acting class, man. It's the greatest place ever.
In some ways though, when you go into an acting class and I mean, you're doing so many different types of, scenes and whatnot. Is it hard to tell what a person's actually like from the get-go? Is it sort of like one of those things where you have to just sort of
definitely
take a chance and say, hey, let's go get coffee and just learn about you more?
Yeah, totally, man. 100%. Like, you follow them on Instagram, you're like, okay, so you like dogs and like, you know what I mean? Like, it's 100% right, because you don't know what they're like, because you don't really get to chat too much in class. Right. So yeah, it is kind of like that.
You only see them really playing a character. Yeah,
man. Most people that are like in acting classes, there's two people. There's two like sets of people. There's people there's two people that are there. There's people that are just trying it out, and they're I don't know. And like when they go up there, they don't commit because they're scared, right? They're a little bit shy, and like they're like, I don't know. And then there's the people that have been there for a bit, and there's just like, they're like, oh man, this is it. Like, this is like what I'm going to do with my life. I'm all in. I'm so committed. Like, fucking Oscar, let's go. Let's make this happen. Right. That's it. There's no like middle ground. That's it. Because man, to get good, like you got to read scripts.
It's a job.
You got to memorize scripts. And well, I tell everyone this, it's like working out your mind. It's a workout for your mind. And if you're not committed to it, you're not gonna be good at it. I don't know. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you can't go to the gym once a month, dude. You can't.
Nope. Zach.
I don't go to the gym at all, so there we go.
There you go.
That's a good point. That was one of the things that really helped put into perspective for me going to this play. It was just, like I said, small production. Tickets were $20 each. Seating was maybe.
Did you like it?
I loved it. I thought it was pretty good.
Oh wow. Okay.
It was a really cool storyline. So it was basically like World War III, but it had like all of like, it was Oz versus Neverland, versus it was the Wizard of Oz meets Peter Pan and God, it's gonna drive me the girl who goes down the rabbit hole.
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, I said Wonderland. Yeah. So it's kind of like those three nations are on the brink of war, and they're in America basically doing like peace talks, and there's a kidnapping and stuff. So it was a kind of a mystery. I don't know. It was a really creative story. It was written by someone local apparently. So I was into that, and the acting was pretty good. I mean, there's some cheesy stuff. The fight scenes, as you know, would have drove me fucking nuts. And I was reading the program in intermission and saw like the combat director, and it was this younger woman. I was like, she has never been in a fight in her life.
Oh no.
And so I came back and was like, Al, I found my new career aspirations. She said, okay, what is it now? I was like, I'm gonna be a combat director for movies. She's like, okay.
Dude, you should, man. They make a lot of money.
I've thought about it, but that's like a market that's complete. There's, I think, a saturation of professionals, right? I think I could bring some light to some of the local productions in Calgary, but I don't think I could stack up.
You should look into it though, man, for sure.
I thought it was a pretty cool environment. You could tell that the people that were going there were regulars. Like, everyone kind of knew everyone, and then there was like me and Al sitting in the middle, like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right. So. This was a Calgary play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Plays are a different kind of beast altogether. You know, I would like to do some plays though, for sure, but it is a different kind of animal.
Well, the reason that was classic Jumbled, I went down a rabbit hole. The reason why I brought that up was the main character. He was in almost every scene. The longest break I think he had was maybe 2 minutes, and
Jesus.
that guy nailed all of his lines. And the play was 2.5 hours long.
Wow.
And he was there was a 20-minute intermission. Aside from that 20-minute intermission, he was on stage for all but maybe 10 minutes.
Wow.
And he had some serious monologues where he just nailed. And I looked at Al after and was like, that's incredible that guy can remember all of those words and nail it in front of this group of people, no microphone, nothing, just projecting his voice. It was pretty. I had a lot of respect for people that can do it.
Totally, man. Yeah, it's a lot of rehearsing for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Like I was nowhere near. I did not carry as many lines, but I did theater in high school or whatever, and it's it's a lot of nights after, well, at the time after school, where you would stay until like 9 o'clock, and you'll work on the first, scene by scene, and then it just sort of compounds and builds and it grows, and you get comfortable with the scene, and then you move on to the next one, and then eventually it just sort of all flows together. And so,
right.
But it's still impressive, not to take away like any of the work, because there is a lot of work that goes into all of that.
Well, I think that's what people don't get. Like you were talking about the two people, is that there's I would say weekend warriors who are like, oh, I'm gonna just fuck around with this and I'll be famous someday. Mm-hmm. And then there's the people who are doing it because they're just so driven, people like you, that you do it because almost like you have to, like that is your thing, and if you're not doing it, you go crazy. And I think those are the people that ultimately find that success in however they define it. Whereas, like you said, the people that think it's like an easy, you just go in and you cry on demand and you get an Oscar, are going to have a rough go at it.
Right. Totally, man. For sure. And that was a big thing too, right? That for when I moved here and being an actor and stuff, for like 2 years of being here, I debated. I was like, do I really want to be an actor, or am I just like searching for something, like some kind of like being validated? Like, what is it that I'm like, because I don't want to do theater. So does that mean I don't like want to be an actor then technically? Like what's going on here? And I don't know, man. I just finally found my groove, obviously, in it. And theater's a totally different beast. Like I said, I have no theater experience. I've never done a theater play in my life or anything like that. I would like to. I think it's pretty cool. But at the same time, it's like, here's the thing, man. I don't really enjoy watching plays. Although, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to take interest in it, though, Mm-hmm. So I don't know, man. Maybe I would.
Yeah. There's a few people that have made that jump, where you see somebody like Josh Gad or something like that, who, was famously, he was in the Book of Mormon theater tour that was on Broadway and everything, and he's since gone on to do, like, he was in the Beauty and the Beast movie.
Right.
He's done a lot of voice acting stuff and whatnot. There's some people that can make that jump, but you rarely ever see somebody go from screen acting to, being super successful on stage.
Totally.
You see, like, what's his name? Harry Potter. I can't remember his name right now.
Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe. Yeah, he's done a lot of, or he tried to jump into. I don't know how successful he was, but that was like right after he had that string of movies. He tried to jump in. So
did you listen on the Mark Maron podcast?
I didn't. No.
Oh, okay. I thought that's where you were getting that from. But yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it's weird, man. It's kind of crazy where people like theater and just film and TV, like they are two different things. And the last guy I just had on my podcast, he was explaining it how, film and TV is like chess and theater is like checkers. They're both kind of the same thing, but they're both very different playing the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
so
that.
How do you break through a script? Because Zach talked about how you do it in theater of scene by scene. Is that how you do it? Do you take scene one and you master that completely and then you go to the next one, or you just kind of keep reading through the entire script slowly until you retain it all?
You asking me?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Okay.
you're
Yeah. Okay. No, I thought you were
definitely
asking
not
because he
asking
did
the other
theater.
Zach.
Okay. Yeah, no, so you want to break it down, right? So you'd go scene by scene for sure, and even in the scene itself you want to take it a little bit at a time. So for an example, man, anything, it's so cool because like this is how you really learn how the mind works. Really, it's really crazy here. You get a speech or any kind of thing like that, a monologue, whatever it is, when you can memorize it in 2 hours. And when I say memorize it, I mean you kind of have it, you know, if someone talks to you and tells you something really important, you might go back to trying to learn it and you're like, oh fuck, I just forgot it all. What the hell? As soon as you go to sleep, it almost like downloads into your mind. Like it just like downloads, you know what I mean? It's so weird how it works. You wake up in the morning and you have the lines fucking perfect. They're ready to go. Here we go. This is no problem. And it reminds me of the Matrix as a human. It's like, I want to know Kung Fu. And then he fucking does this whole thing and learns in that machine. He's like, I know Kung Fu. You know what I mean? Like it's so crazy, man. Cause that's how it is with everything now. And I kind of relate how I learn lines and scenes and I apply that to everything. It's like, for example, this poker thing I'm doing tomorrow, I'm going to watch this movie. I'm going to go over these, the flush, the straight, the fucking, two pair, all this kind of stuff, royal flush, all that stuff, right? And tomorrow morning, I'm going to have it all. And it's weird. I can't explain how it works. It's all there. And everyone has this. It's so weird how that works. So anyways, going back to your thing, you'd want to memorize as much as you possibly can, like memorize it, and then it'll download into your mind. And then to next morning, you would do it. You would like repeat what you've learned, obviously, because you're going to know it now off by book, and start memorizing the next part.
Do you, when you work on the line, do you do it in character, or are you just reading it from like a mesmerization, or do you bring in that deliverance?
I can't even help but bring into the character. Like for example, let's say it says like, it'll be like, hey Susan, who's on the phone? And like let's say like he knows it's like an ex-boyfriend, and you're just like, because I would read it like, because you would read the context, right, of that, like, it's an ex-boyfriend, and you'd be like, hey Susan, who's on the phone? Like I would say that in my mind, right? Yeah. And you gotta be careful though, because once you do it one way and you learn it that way, that's how you're doing it.
That's it.
Yeah.
So you
that's
really
why
gotta
I was
figure
wondering
out how to approach the character and the scenes before you memorize stuff.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, I'm no expert, but yes, definitely.
You're the expert here.
I'm
right
the expert
now.
out of these
all that
two.
matters.
All right, I'll take it.
Well, and as far as memorizing lines for being a screen actor, I would assume a lot of it's based on the schedule as far as when you're going to shoot something or when you're going to record it, because you're going to record maybe a couple different parts of the movie very close to each other because they are at a certain location, right? So you might record the end of the movie first, just based on wherever you are.
So what you would need to do as a film actor, this is why film and theater are really different, because theater, so you have to prepare for your show. Let's say your show is April 13th and it's fucking, it's March 1st right now. Okay, so I got a couple months here. I got to prepare for my show. I got to memorize all my lines. I'm going to make some notes in here. I'm going to rehearse with my partners and stuff. And you're preparing for a night, right? You're preparing for the night. Whereas film and TV, this is the movie. Here's the script. By the way, we're not shooting scene one. We're not starting with scene one. We're shooting what's more convenient for everyone. We have Leonardo DiCaprio only for 3 days, so we're gonna do all of Leo's scenes first. Oh, Zach, you just happen to be in all of Leo's scenes, so those are the scenes you're gonna have to do first. So now you have to go through the script and be like, okay, cool. So me and Leo, for some reason, we hate each other here. I got to figure out why we hate each other from reading the beginning of the script, and then I'm gonna learn this part of the script for that day. So it's so crazy because like you could be shooting the craziness of the whole world the first day that you get there.
Yeah,
I remember when I first learned that happened, and my mind was blown. I remember I was a younger kid, teenager, and I just had always thought so linear that like, okay, we're filming this movie, so scene 1, scene 2, and you just carry on and you let those actors develop the character as they go. And then I don't even remember who was telling me that they were like, no, that's not how they film a movie, you moron. And then they talked about it's really about scheduling and
Right.
the location, access to location, access to the actors, etc. And I just was like, what?
Yeah,
and maybe I'm off base here, but I feel like that's why actors are as good as they are, because they can put themselves into any portion of the movie or show or whatever without having to go from the beginning to get to that point. It's like there's only a certain amount of people that can do that.
And that's what's crazy, right? Is like, and that's what separates the really good actors from, everyone thinks you start a movie off and you just start from the first day of, the first scene, and then you kind of progress as the movie's done. And it's like, oh, we're doing the last scene of the movie. It's like, man, you could do the last scene of the movie on day 2. Like, you don't know. Yeah. It's a crazy industry, man. It's a wild, like I said, it's an industry that's meant for you to fail. Like, it's set up for you to fail, right? You have to be able to get off a job the next day, right away. You have to have a flexible job. And even then, you kind of want to be able to enjoy to eat food and like, you want to have a normal life, right? But you can't, because you're giving up this kind of like this financially freedom kind of life for having a flexible job. And then generally, if you're working a flexible job, it's kind of a shitty job. And then you're auditioning for stuff that, like, you maybe, like, me auditioning for a trivia host. Like, I don't really care about that. You know what I mean? Like, for some reason, I'm learning how to play poker for something I don't care about. Like that, like, think about that on paper real quick, right? But I think it's just always about the big picture. And it's like, how bad do you want to be great? That's just what always is in my head. How bad do I want to be great? And I think that if you are, listening to this and you are thinking about getting into the acting industry or the film industry, or honestly anything in entertainment nowadays, man, if you're thinking about starting a podcast or you think about fucking starting up an Instagram account with dogs and whatever it is, just know that whatever you do, it's super competitive. It's super, super competitive, but it's only hard because it is great. You know what I mean? Like, the finish line is worth it. I think personally. I mean, or, you can help the people cross the finish line. I don't know. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Yeah.
Follow your passion. On that note, though, we're going to wrap it up because we've well over crested the hour, and I'm sure you have some podcast brain fog now after going back to back. It's good practice to be Joe Rogan. So
I want to take a quick photo of this real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Also, we'll give you a minute to plug all
please.
your social media and your podcast and just how people can get more of Zac Klassen.
Yeah, okay, cool. So my podcast is called Up and Coming with Zac Klassen. It's on every single platform: YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple, Stitcher, you name it, it's everywhere. And it's basically about people just up and coming, entrepreneurs, entertainers, just trying to figure out how they've, mastered their alpha day and just trying to, create this dream and have this happen for them, because it is a crazy thing out there and a difficult, just a difficult time to try to make it in this world, man. It's tough out there, man. Look, it's really tough. And the least you could do is learn from people that are doing it, not always learn from people that have already made it, because their mindset is different. So you can find me everywhere there. And then just my Instagram is at Zac Klassen. I post a lot of fucking pictures of my dog. And yeah.
Awesome. All right, Zac. Well, we thank you so much, bud. And bear with me while I do our quick wrap up outro.
Do it up, man.
All right, cool. Thanks for listening, guys. We've really enjoyed this one. Hope you guys have too. If you want to check us out on any and all social media, it's at Jumbled Podcast. Send us emails to jumbledpodcast@gmail.com, or Johnny's got his own thing. You guys know Johnny is johnny.jumbled@gmail.com. And I don't have one. I just email the regular one. And If you want to visit our sponsor, that would be Audible. Head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled and get your free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. It's a good deal. Take care. And go over to Patreon, patreon.com/jumbled, and give what you feel comfortable giving there. Just like Zach said just a second ago, we are on all of the platforms that you could listen to. So wherever you're listening to right now is fine. You can stay there. But regardless, head over to iTunes and give us a rating and review. Help pump those stats up. Get our review numbers up. And that's it, guys. So thank you so much for joining us, Zach. Thanks again, bud. We really appreciate it. You're welcome on anytime.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Zach.
Yeah, no worries, guys.
All right.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
We'll see you guys next week for another episode of Jumbled, your favorite podcast.
About dreams and chasing them.
Love it.
Nice.
See you guys.
See ya.